Karen stormed into the middle of the street the second she saw the squad car on the tow truck. She crossed her arms and shouted that HOA rules apply to everyone, even the police. Officer Brooks couldn't believe what he was hearing. Neighbors quietly stepped outside to watch the chaos unfold. Officer Brooks calmly explained that the vehicle was official police property, but Karen refused to listen. She pointed at the HOA parking signs and demanded immediate towing fees. The officer's patience was already running thin. Karen immediately called the HOA president like she had complete control of the neighborhood. She bragged loudly that nobody parked without HOA approval. Several neighbors exchanged nervous looks. Even the tow truck driver started regretting being involved. The tow truck driver quietly asked Karen if she was absolutely sure about towing a police vehicle. Karen snapped back, saying the HOA owned the streets. Officer Brooks immediately corrected her, but Karen ignored him completely. Within minutes, neighbors flooded the sidewalks with phones in their hands. Everyone sensed the situation was spiraling out of control. Karen still acted confident in front of the growing crowd. Officer Brooks quietly radioed for backup. Karen threatened to file complaints against Officer Brooks personally. She claimed the HOA had authority over every parked vehicle. The officer remained calm despite her constant yelling, but his expression showed he was done arguing. The sound of sirens echoed through the neighborhood. Karen's confidence faded slightly as backup units arrived. Neighbors stepped farther back onto their lawns. Officer Brooks finally folded his arms and waited quietly. Then Police Chief Raymond Cole stepped out of a black SUV. The entire street suddenly went silent. Even Karen looked nervous for the first time. The chief walked directly toward the tow truck without saying a word. Chief Cole stared at the chained squad car for several long seconds. Then he turned toward Karen with a cold expression. The crowd became completely silent. Everyone knew something serious was about to happen. Karen finally realized this wasn't just an HOA argument anymore. Chief Cole asked one simple question: who authorized the towing of police property? Karen suddenly struggled to answer. The neighbors watched in complete silence. Chief Cole informed Karen that towing a marked police vehicle could qualify as grand theft auto. Karen's face instantly turned pale. She tried blaming the tow truck driver and the HOA board, but nobody stepped forward to defend her. Officer Brooks calmly placed Karen in handcuffs while the neighborhood watched. The same people she once ordered around now recorded her arrest. Karen kept insisting it was all a misunderstanding. Chief Cole remained completely unmoved. The HOA president finally arrived just as Karen was placed inside the police car. He immediately realized the situation had gone far beyond HOA authority. Chief Cole warned him never to interfere with police operations again. The man nervously apologized in front of everyone. Neighbors whispered about Karen's behavior as police finished the arrest paperwork. Some people looked shocked. Others quietly admitted they weren't surprised at all. Years of HOA bullying had finally caught up to her. Officer Brooks reminded everyone that HOA rules never override state law. The crowd listened carefully. Several neighbors nodded in agreement. For the first time in years, the street felt strangely peaceful. Karen begged Chief Cole to work something out before she was taken away. Her confident attitude had completely disappeared. The chief reminded her that abusing authority has consequences. The crowd watched quietly as reality finally hit her. The tow truck driver explained that Karen insisted she had legal authority. He admitted he felt uncomfortable the entire time. Officer Brooks carefully documented every detail. Karen lowered her head while listening from the patrol car. Karen's HOA paperwork was spread across the hood of a patrol car. Chief Cole quickly noticed several claims that were completely false. The HOA rules clearly never mentioned police vehicles. Karen's situation was getting worse by the minute. Karen's husband pulled into the driveway, looking completely confused. Neighbors immediately turned toward him. When he saw Karen sitting inside the patrol car, his face dropped instantly. He quietly asked officers what had happened. Chief Cole calmly explained how Karen ordered the towing of an active police vehicle. Her husband looked stunned and speechless. He apologized repeatedly to the officers. Karen avoided making eye contact with anyone. As police prepared to leave, neighbors immediately started discussing the arrest. Some recalled years of Karen threatening fines over tiny violations. Others said they always knew she would eventually cross the line. The entire neighborhood buzzed with gossip. The patrol car slowly pulled away from the neighborhood. Karen stared silently through the window the entire ride. Officer Brooks focused quietly on the road ahead. The once loud HOA enforcer had nothing left to say. Chief Cole later met with the HOA board directly. He warned them never to misuse HOA authority again. Several board members looked terrified by the conversation. The power dynamic in the neighborhood changed instantly. Karen sat quietly during the booking process. The confidence she once carried was completely gone. Reality finally settled in as fingerprints and paperwork began. She realized this incident would follow her forever. Officer Brooks leaned against a patrol car after the long day. He had dealt with difficult HOA complaints before, but towing a police squad car crossed every line imaginable. Even veteran officers were still talking about it. For the first time in years, neighbors felt less intimidated. People gathered outside peacefully, without fear of Karen's complaints. Children even played freely on the sidewalks again. The neighborhood atmosphere slowly changed overnight. By the next morning, local news stations arrived at the neighborhood. The story spread quickly across social media. People couldn't believe an HOA member tried towing a police car. Karen's actions became the talk of the city. Karen sat silently in her living room watching the headlines replay. Every channel repeated the same story. Her name was now connected to one of the most embarrassing HOA incidents in town. She could barely watch the screen. The tow company quickly cooperated with investigators. Managers explained they never realized the vehicle belonged to active law enforcement. They blamed Karen for pressuring the driver aggressively. Police documented every conversation carefully. Karen finally met with an attorney later that evening. He immediately explained how serious the charges could become. For the first time, Karen appeared genuinely afraid. The reality of court and public humiliation overwhelmed her. The HOA board called an emergency meeting the following day. Members argued over how Karen's actions damaged the community reputation. Some blamed her completely. Others worried lawsuits might follow. Residents finally spoke openly about years of unfair treatment. People shared stories about excessive warnings and intimidation. Karen's arrest gave neighbors confidence to push back. The board suddenly faced intense pressure. Chief Cole addressed reporters calmly outside the station. He explained that no civilian organization outranks the law. His comments quickly spread online. Many viewers praised how professionally officers handled the situation. Karen noticed neighbors avoiding her completely. Some whispered quietly as she walked past. Others simply ignored her existence altogether. Her once powerful image disappeared almost overnight. Officer Brooks received praise for staying calm throughout the incident. Chief Cole commended his professionalism under pressure. Several officers joked they would never forget the story. The bizarre HOA incident became department legend. Karen's court date was officially scheduled weeks later. Reporters waited outside, hoping for comments. She kept her head down while entering the building. The public attention only made things worse. The HOA board voted to remove Karen from her leadership position. The decision passed almost unanimously. Neighbors quietly applauded from the back of the room. Years of frustration finally boiled over. Karen eventually offered a public apology to the community. Her voice shook as she admitted she went too far. Many residents remained skeptical. Others simply stayed silent. Over time, the neighborhood slowly returned to normal. People felt more comfortable speaking openly again. Community events became less tense and controlling. The atmosphere felt lighter than it had in years. Officer Brooks eventually resumed his normal patrol routine. Residents now greeted him warmly as he passed by. The strange incident became part of local history. But nobody forgot the lesson behind it. Karen spent many evenings replaying the situation in her head. One impulsive decision had changed her entire reputation. She realized authority without limits can become dangerous. But the damage was already done. The tow truck driver eventually returned to regular work. He still remembered the panic of towing that police vehicle. Co-workers teased him about it constantly. But he was relieved the nightmare was finally over. The HOA later revised several controversial neighborhood policies. Residents demanded clearer limits on enforcement powers. The board reluctantly agreed to major changes. Karen's incident permanently reshaped the community. Chief Cole later revisited the neighborhood during a community event. Residents thanked him for handling the situation fairly. The chief reminded everyone that respect goes both ways. The crowd applauded warmly. Months later, Karen unexpectedly saw Officer Brooks again. This time, she quietly apologized face-to-face. The officer accepted politely but briefly. Both understood the moment spoke for itself. The bizarre story eventually exploded across the internet. Millions of viewers debated HOA power and personal responsibility. Comment sections flooded with opinions and jokes. The neighborhood suddenly became nationally recognized. Residents organized a neighborhood barbecue months later. People laughed more freely than they had in years. Without constant HOA intimidation, the community felt united again. Even longtime neighbors started reconnecting. Karen eventually decided to move away from the neighborhood. The memories had become impossible to escape. She hoped for a fresh start somewhere quieter. But the lessons stayed with her forever. Chief Cole reminded Officer Brooks that power should always be used responsibly. The officer nodded quietly while watching the sunset. Both men understood how quickly control can be abused. The neighborhood had learned the same lesson too. One entitled decision changed an entire neighborhood forever. But in the end, accountability restored peace to the community. If you enjoyed this HOA story, like and subscribe for more dramatic stories. And tell us below where you're watching from.